I am interviewing Laura Ruby right now, and she is actually one of the speakers here at the HeR at the Nancy Drew convention. So, Laura, could you tell us a little bit about what you do and how Nancy Drew has influenced your work?
Well, my Nancy Drew series started out when I was asking myself a very serious question. What am I as an artist? How did I get my start as an artist? What am I doing as an artist? And I said, well, you know, in order to make my artwork, my particular kind of artwork, I have to be a detective. And then I thought about it a minute. Well, that's finding clues, it's putting things together, maybe resolving some mysteries or making something intriguing or even invitingly ambiguous. And I said, well, wait a second. Drew, draw. And the connection was there. Nancy Drew and to draw. And so I made the connection with Detective Nancy Drew and my artwork as drawing and as detective work. And then it became, of course, expanded quite quickly to researchers, to scientists, to librarians, to teachers, to any career almost that has to gather many clues and put things together in understandable order or in some conjunction so they make meaning. And so it is about making meaning, but it's also about having fun. And it's having fun in American popular culture and playing with visual and verbal wordplay and puns and gestural languages.
So you mentioned that the pun on Drew and draw. Are there any other puns of yours that are favorites that relate to Nancy Drew?
Well, there is the mystery of the tolling bell, and I just love to go through all of the bells and the tollings in them, because as I got started, the book had, of course, a bell that was ringing in a cavern, and then I can't remember exactly how it got going, but I've thought of it as sort of a stage set. And when I thought of it as a stage set, Nancy in the frontispiece was standing at a table looking over something, a clue in a book, and I then realized that outside the stage, or in front of the front part of the stage, somebody had to be listening in or inviting the reader in. And so I envisioned Charlie Chaplin and Number One Son as from the movies as being a great detective and also based in Honolulu as one of my sort of my lead-in characters, and the person who played him, unfortunately, in the early 30s and everything else, Sidney Toller, but tolling and bells were the puns. And then I went on from there because I put Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, into a picture on the wall, and in the back the Pythagoras bell tone system, and then on the wallpaper, which you maybe couldn't have seen it but should appreciate it from HeR Interactive, the bell curves. Just as wallpaper, just as part of it. And then my bell pepper that I did, a sculpture bell pepper, was on the table as another kind of pun. So it was just, and the bell shape of the light above, I'm probably forgetting some of them, but they're all there, and I keep rethinking of them, so I get a kick out of them. So.
That sounds like so much fun. I love how you're able to find so many bells and tolling just in that one word. You know, you wouldn't even think of that, you know. So that's really exciting, and when you see the artwork, which we'll have up here in a little bit, you'll see all these bells and you'll find it's so amazing to see. So tell us about how you first learned about Nancy Drew. What was your first experience with Nancy Drew?
All I can remember is that my aunt must have no longer wanted the Nancy Drews that she had, and so they showed up at my house, and they were missing the dust jackets, and so all I saw were the blue covers, and I must have waited a while to think of reading them, and who knows, it was a rainy day or who knows what, but I started to read them, and then I read them all, and then I had to look for other ones, which was by trading or lending to other young women, and so the libraries didn't carry them. They were thought of as being very poor reading material, because series were thought of as not engaging you in actual thinking activity, because they became sort of a pattern type of reading. Like the opposite point of view is great to have people reading.
Yeah,
that wasn't their point of view. The point of view was that it was not
things
making
have certainly changed since then. Thank goodness.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so then I read them through, and then as I said, I passed them on to my sister, sort of handed them down to my sister. My sister read them, and then my mother handed them down to the thrift store, without asking us.
He must have been very sad to see those go to the thrift store.
Well, it was when I said, well, where are they anyway? You know, oh, I guess I took them to the thrift store, you know, was the answer. You know, so it was probably so much other stuff too, you know.
Yeah. So, what is one piece of advice that you learned from Nancy Drew that you would apply to your own life, or you would tell other people to follow?
I would say living to the best of your ability, living to your fullest, living to your most deepest resources is to be thoroughly engaged in as much as you possibly can, to be curious, to be ever inquisitive, to be probing, to investigate, to not let something go by without really looking at it, looking around. Yesterday we were driving down the street and I tried to get the attention of some people, but I didn't until it passed. But I saw a subdivision called River Heights. Well, that's where Nancy Drew lived.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the people who live in Florida knew that, but I was seeing it for the first time. And so always to be, you know, we stopped at the pier, and I wanted to go out to the end of the pier. What's at the end of the pier? You know, in other words, not to just say, oh, there's the pier. And so those are the kinds of things. But I went, you know, I was intending to go to the university, and I majored in English because that's the world of ideas. And that was my dream.
Well, thank you so much. We're really glad that you're at the convention. I'm so glad to have met you, and all of our fans thank you and are really excited to see some of this artwork that you've done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.